Assalamu alaikum, guys. We're going to get started, so if everybody could come to the center.
You got your mic?
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Welcome to our special edition, YP Halaqa, titled, How Does the Inner Child Show Up in Marriage? With our special guest speakers, the dynamic duo, Brother Omar Shareef and Sister Alaa Shareef. Clap it up.
Thank you.
We're so happy to see you all at the Mass Youth Center tonight. May Allah make this gathering filled with benefit, clarity, and barakah. Ameen.
Ameen.
To start off with blessings, we're going to start off with the best words, the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, with one of our very own, Brother Faris.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألم تر كيف فعل ربك بأصحاب الفيل ألم يجعل كيدهم في تضليل وأرسل عليهم طيرا أبابيل ترميهم بحجارة من سجيل فجعلهم كعصف مأكول صدق الله العظيم.
Jazakallah khairan for that beautiful recitation.
I was so weak, man. Takbir. Takbir. Jazakallah khair, bro. Thank you, man.
Tonight we are honored to have our absolute favorites, Brother Omar Shareef and Sister Alaa Shareef. Brother Omar Shareef is an MD, MBA dual degree graduate of St. George's University School of Medicine. He completed psychiatry residence at Nassau University Medical Center and fellowship training in community psychiatry and psychotherapy at Columbia University. He currently practices at Creedmoor Psychiatry Center in Queens. Omar is a certified adult mental health first aid instructor and a community educator with the Family and Youth Institute. Sister Alaa Shareef holds dual master's degree in clinic psychology and mental health counseling from Columbia University and a diploma in Islamic psychology from Cambridge Muslim College. She is trained in brain spotting, trauma therapy, and is currently pursuing training in the Shifa method. Alongside her clinical work, Alaa is a researcher and community educator with the Family and Youth Institute, where she develops the curriculum and programs to advance Muslim mental health literacy and advocacy. Invited to speak at conferences and events nationwide, she is passionate about promoting health, resistance, healing, and community well-being through integrative psychological, and spiritual approaches. All right, give it up for them.
Thank you so much, Jazakallah khair, and thank you for finding a good picture of me online. It's such an honor to be here, and just again, my favorite statement, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Ameen, ameen. May Allah continue to fill our hearts with salam, especially at a time where we seek it the most. This is a very big topic that was chosen, which I'm so excited and honored to be talking about it. That's a caveat, though, that it's a very lengthy topic. So today, inshallah, we're going to touch on, and hopefully we'll go in depth in some of the areas, but we'll probably get an overview and touch on the surface of the topic. With that said, we really like to make it engaging and interactive, and what we are going to have on our first slide is a QR code, where if you have any questions throughout today's talk, you are more than welcome to, it's not a QR code. You'll have to sign into our Slido. Omar, do you want to describe how they can do that? Now, these are cute questions that come to mind throughout the event for you to just kind of submit. You can submit them anonymously. In fact, you might see that someone submit a question that you like, so you can kind of one-up it, and then it'll kind of put it up on the priority list. Inshallah, at the end, we'll get to Q&A. With that said, we still want it to be interactive and engaging. So we have different questions throughout that we want you guys to really submit your responses to, and then also we'll have a live Q&A for asking questions non-anonymously. But Omar, do you want to describe how they can sign into the Slido?
Yeah, sure. So I think if the Slido is active, we just have to activate the Slido. And then the QR code should pop up. Let me know,
Here, you want to try activating it from here?
inshallah, if we're able to. It's kind of tough because normally, like, it's rude to have your phone out during a lecture. But I think for Alaa and I, we kind of prefer that you have your phones out for a presentation like this. So, yeah, let me go to present. Yeah, your Slido was not activating. Give me a sec. Slido. Yeah, I'm doing it right now. I got you.
In the meantime, this is a heavy topic, and it's just kind of a warning that some things that arise as we're talking about this might be triggering for some people, might feel heavy, but at the same time, what we want to do is equip all of us in this room to understand what the inner child is, right, and to be able to access it. And, sorry, I'm distracted. Yeah, we'll give tools for actually we'll go through the whole thing, inshallah.
Okay, so
Did you get it?
when starting this conversation, Alaa and I kind of gave a different conversation about this. You guys have done marriage topics a million times here at Mass. You've done premarital topics, you've done early marriage topics, you guys have done like mid-marriage. There's even been topics on divorce. So like each stage of a relationship has been touched upon. And one conversation that I don't think has been discussed is how does your inner child or the younger version of you come out when you're at a few stages. So the first will be if you're looking for a relationship and you guys are looking to marry someone or you're looking to enter into marriage talks, where does the inner child come out? And how does it impact you and affect you? And then if you're in the talking stage and the talks are serious and you feel like, she or he might be the one, how does the inner child then come out at that stage when parents get involved, families get involved, things get pretty heavy and things are pretty serious, the stakes are very high for what could make or break this relationship. And then if you do have a ring on it, what happens when you're in the inner child comes out when you're actually fully in a relationship itself? These are all the things that we're going to be touching upon today. And the one thing I do want to preface for you guys is that whenever it comes to mental health topics, Alaa and I tend to be less, we're less academic about it, and it's more just speaking very earnestly and very honestly about this topic. This is something that Alaa and I, when we were in marriage talks and we were talking with one another, we asked each other some pretty heavy and difficult questions, and a lot of our questions required pulling out from a deeper part of myself, an uncomfortable and deeper part of myself when we were in these conversations. They were not easy at all, having these conversations, but that's how we kind of knew that we were kind of right for one another, was because we could handle the difficult topics. And then after that, favorite color, favorite movie, favorite restaurant, favorite food is it's like the easiest thing at that point. That's the easy stuff. Have those conversations. I think what we realize is that a lot of couples kind of flip it and they do it the opposite way, which is you first start with favorite foods, favorite restaurants, favorite shops, favorite stores, what kind of clothing do you like, what movies do you guys enjoy, and all that. You kind of build a compatibility on superficiality, and then when the rubber hits the road and things actually start getting difficult, when the trauma actually starts to come out, when you get family involved and now your mom and dad are having conversations with her or with him, aunts and uncles are getting involved, you're getting 50 million different opinions from 50 million different people, and you're feeling confused, you're feeling lost, you're not really sure, you already made the announcement, your friends already know, but you're doubting it inside your heart, you're not really sure if he's the right one or she's the right one, you've got issues that are coming up inside your own heart, you've got issues coming up when you're in talks with them, and you're not really sure, but you're gonna do it anyway because you've already sunk this much time and effort and energy in, and it looks worse if I don't do it, so I'm just gonna do it, and I'm gonna be moving forward. Now we're at the nikah planning stage. Everyone already knows we're planning our nikah. I have serious reservations, but I don't know how to bring them up because I've never been in a place where I've had to challenge someone I care about and argue back out of a place of love. And so this is where the inner child comes out. And now this is where all the conflict begins to come out. And this is where you realize that a relationship doesn't look like it does on Netflix. A relationship actually really is very hurtful, and it brings out a lot of hurt and pain. And every single one of us here, myself, I'm a child of immigrant parents. Mom is from Pakistan, dad is from India, so I have a very Desi background. And politically, I hate myself. And a lot of generational trauma comes out, a lot of cultural trauma comes out, a lot of childhood trauma comes out, a lot of American/Muslim trauma comes out. And I'm juggling now 5 different versions of Omar while I'm in a conversation with someone, trying to figure myself out, while at the same time giving my heart to somebody else. Now you guys see where Alaa and I are coming from, which is how huge this topic is. So we can't delve super deep into it. We probably need more time. Or if Mass wants to make this a series, and we come back for like more talks, inshallah, that'd be beautiful. I'd love to do that. But Alaa and I will give a very surface level exploration of like the childhood self and how it comes out when you guys are looking for the right one, and what pitfalls to look out for when things start to get very heavy and emotional during this process.
Perfect. So we want to acknowledge that not everyone here may be married, though this is a conversation about how the inner child shows up in marriage, and the best time to find this out and to learn about this is before marriage. It's almost like meet your inner child before you have to meet your inner child in a difficult situation or in conflict. What we want to do is we want to gauge the audience, though. We want to see how many of us are single, married, divorced, looking, and so you actually can access the Slido now. If you can just join slido.com on your phones, on your laptops.
And scan the QR code.
Oh, perfect, the QR code is up. And then the code at the bottom, if you do go to slido.com, is 42414156. But here you can answer our first question. Yeah, do you want to see the QR code and go into it?
Okay, that's not what I see on the screen though.
Yeah, there's a QR code. You can't see it from your angle. Can you guys see it?
I meant the question on the screen.
Oh, no, they'll see it. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's not our question. Where'd that come from?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Oh,
that's a QA?
Oh, perfect.
What the heck? Who
That's
asked
the
that?
QA. That's perfect, actually. That is
Yeah, I
what we're
was
going to
gonna
talk
say.
about today.
How to heal your inner
That is
child?
all
And
of what
someone
we're gonna talk
upvoted
about
it.
today.
So, yeah, just thank you guys, for that.
So
Yeah, you might have to scroll it down the Slido to the next.
we would need up front, if you don't mind, I guess going to the third slide.
Perfect, there you go. Awesome. All right, so here's the slide we want you guys to sort of answer.
And on your Slido, you will see, like, throughout the session today, you can ask questions and you can go back to the Q&A part.
Yes.
But yes, what is your current marital status? And you can answer more than one. Divorced and single, not looking, or looking,
Just
engaged.
don't put married and looking. That'd be
Yeah,
kind
please don't. Yeah.
I hope.
That's not what we're promoting
I hope
here.
your SO knows that you're doing that. All right, so based on what we're seeing so far, absolutely nobody here. Wait, no, we got one person who's married, auntie and uncle status. We got a few folks that are engaged. About 10% of the crowd is currently in talks. Another 10% are married. A few of you are single but not looking right now, not ready yet. And where are we right now? It's like over half the crowd is single and ready to mingle. Actually, more than half the crowd. We already hit like 60% for single, ready to mingle. Wow, mashallah. Well, you guys are in the right place. Seeking the right thing. So that sounds good. So most of the crowd here, I guess, is single, with a few folks that are married and engaged. And for the folks who picked that you're single and not yet ready, honestly, respect. I actually really respect that because that's an honest answer. That you know you're single, you know in your heart, I know at some point I might consider it, but I'm not ready or open to it right now. And I respect that, for sure.
And being here is a part of the process of getting ready. But at least there's an acknowledgement that there is work to do before getting married or before looking for someone. And that self-work is very much a part of our deen. It's a lifelong journey. And a big part of it that happens before marriage is what's going to lead to a very healthier chances for a healthy, successful marriage. The second question we want to ask you guys is, if you can go to the next slide. In one word, when you hear the phrase inner child, what comes to mind? And we'll give you a couple minutes to just formulate this word
Dang,
cloud.
trauma was the first one that came up. Y'all good? You guys okay?
We all have trauma. Beautiful.
Wow, we got a lot of good stuff coming up so far.
Innocence, sadness, confusion, freedom, guilt, fun, the young
So
me.
far, it's innocence and trauma are like the big ones. Oh, what is that up there? Emotions that were.
Survival conditioning, beautiful.
Yeah.
Wounded child inside.
Someone put Epstein. What? Stuff for luck. May not protect you from predators of your inner child. Okay.
Baggage.
So if you guys can look at the screen, you can pretty much see what most people are feeling when they think about inner child. And truth be told, if you guys take a look, two major things are coming up. The first being trauma from your childhood, and the second one being innocence. And innocence can mean a couple of things, which is that you're either thinking nostalgically back to a time when you had your innocence and then lost it, or that the loss of innocence itself could be a trauma for you. And that for us, being like Muslim New Yorkers, a lot of times you realize that on these streets, you lose your innocence pretty quickly in New York. There really isn't much sheltering that happens here when you're in the city. And so oftentimes for us as children of immigrants in particular, you have to live a very different childhood than say if you were part of like the Princeton crowd and you had everything sort of handed to you, from the get-go. Living here in the city is a life of struggle. Being the child of immigrant parents is a childhood of struggle. And having to survive, as many of you put up there, like it's a survival mindset, that is inherently the loss of innocence and the loss of a childhood, for you. So when you put these cute things up there that you're feeling all this, everything you guys put up on that board is what you bring into a relationship. This stuff doesn't poof magically go away when you put a ring on somebody. All this stuff comes to the forefront in a relationship. If you never dealt with your trauma will come out in a relationship. And maybe you're not the one bringing it out, but your spouse could be the one bringing it out. But first things first is understanding what the inner child is. I'm going to throw it to Alaa for an exploration of the inner child.
Yeah, and I want to point out that it's not just the innocence piece, but some people have pointed out fitra, good memories, right? And there are a lot of emotion words. If you can look at the word cloud, what resonates with you that maybe someone else said, right? And that's what it is. The inner child, if you go to the next slide, when we think about the inner child, it is all these emotional memories that form the person and shape the adult reactions we have in our life, right? And oftentimes this is before the age of 7, but without putting a name to it, even in childhood and adolescence, all of our emotional experiences really shape our worldview, and they shape the way we respond to things. It shows up in, like our inner child doesn't go away when we grow up, right? It shows up especially in times of conflict, in times of vulnerability, or in times of fear, in times of shame, these difficult emotions. That's when our inner child is like, I'm ready. I'm ready to show. I'm ready to feel seen. I'm ready to feel heard. And oftentimes that's because it's pointing to a time where it wasn't seen, it wasn't heard, right? And so much more. But the point of talking about it is that evidence shows that unresolved or unhealed wounds from childhood, right? This unhealed inner child. When we have these, like, it predicts, if it's not healed, it predicts unsatisfaction in marriage. There's a prediction that, like, you're more likely to be reactive in situations or have very difficult time regulating your emotions, right? And so our goal is to talk about healing this inner child because it is a journey and there is a way of ensuring we're not carrying this baggage, as someone mentioned. We're not carrying this heavy weight without really having explored it, understood it, given it some time. And, you know, it starts with awareness. It starts with knowing what's inside. What is she trying to say? What does he need? What was missing, right? And we'll talk about where these wounds come from. But it first starts with awareness, and then it starts with compassion, being kind and curious to that inner child, that wound. And then thirdly, being honest, right? We're like buried under so much stigma in our communities, in our families, even in our self-stigma of, oh, no, it's weak to look inward and to admit that I went through so-and-so or that was hard for me, right? But trauma comes in all sorts of shapes and sizes. We have big T and we have small t. We have massive things that might happen to a person that is like obvious trauma, right? That person got into a car accident, or that person has sexual assault in their childhood, which are very real things that happen in our families and in our communities. But then we have daily traumas, like the little t, things that were confusing, that we didn't know how to make sense of, especially when we were young, and they were just like too big for us to navigate and know how to handle on our own. And how many of us had to navigate a lot of big stuff on our own as little kids? It's very real for us, right? But I want to point out, it's so a part of our deen, right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to me, I believe that the whole tazkiyah journey is about looking inward, right? And Allah teaches us concepts like muhasaba, right? Look inward, think about yourself, and really reflect inward, right? And islah, right? This sense of self-reflection, looking inward, and repairing what might need tending to, what might be hurt, what might be broken, what might have been left behind. And the more we do that, the more in touch and the more whole or closer to wholeness we are. And that's what we want to bring into our relationships. So we'll be talking about marriage, but this is very, very relevant for every relationship, right? Because our inner child, again, it shows up the most in conflict, in vulnerability. It shows up the most when it's difficult. Anything else? Yep, just like Omar said, the last part is that when you come together in marriage, you're not just coming together as two people, you're bringing two histories together. You're bringing inner child together, right? You're bringing inner children. You're bringing together your nervous systems. You're bringing together the coping strategies that you learned or didn't learn, right? You're bringing together so many parts of you, your family culture, the childhood experiences that set you apart from others or that you do connect with. So to be able to self-reflect and understand that it's not a mystical concept, it's not foreign. In fact, the goal is to not be foreign to yourself and to be able to know who this, person inside of me is or who all parts of me include. Can we go to the next slide? And I'll just go over this briefly. But that emotional part formed in our early life, right? So it's the emotional version of you that was shaped between birth and adolescence. And it holds the earliest experiences of safety or lack of safety, right? Love or lack of love, fear or being held and, comforted in times of fear. And it is what you hold inside of you that might have been unmet. For example, sensitivities, things you might have been sensitive about, things you might have wanted to have addressed but was never addressed, or beliefs about ourselves, shame or low self-esteem. These are things that had not been addressed in the past, a sense of belonging or a sense of connection. not being, feeling safe at home with your parents, or not feeling safe at home with your siblings, getting into fights but not being able to actually reconcile through those fights, and always feeling like I'm unheard in this. But to highlight that it's not a sense of immaturity, which was, part of the word cloud, rather it's unmet needs. It's something that's unhealed. It's something that's unfulfilled or incomplete that's within us that actually needs attention so that it can be kind of reach a sense of completeness, right? Like tended to. It gets more intense during conflicts, and that's something that I continue to say because guess what? Marriage is going to bring up a lot of conflicts, right? And the truth is marriage does actually activate old wounds oftentimes, and we'll go into depth about it, but it's you'll notice it in friendships, in a relationship with marriage, right? In marriage, you're going to realize that a lot of your old stuff that hasn't been hashed out is like poked at. And when a fight seems to be more intense than it deserves, most likely it's because something is activated inside me from my unaddressed childhood. But we'll move on to the next. The point is to not see your inner child as weak, but to look at it as a thing inside me that needs compassion. So what shapes the inner child? You want to start here?
Sure. So how does your inner kid show up when you're ready to introduce a girl or guy into your life? And then what actually pops up when you're having these conversations? So first and foremost, the most important thing that we talk about in psych is attachment. And the most important attachment at the end of the day is going to be the natural fitra, your inclination towards Allah, and your attachment towards Allah. If this particular attachment has been wounded or broken or is not healthy, you're gonna have a difficult time because even internally, you're in a state of flux, for yourself. And if everyone says this, every single person says this, which is, oh yeah, the most important thing I need is I need the girl to be practicing, or I need the guy to be a good Muslim. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, that sounds great. Everyone and their mom always says this about marriage, but what does this mean when you actually need to have a conversation with someone? Does it mean you pray 5 times a day and everything's hunky-dory, or you fast during Ramadan, so everything's great? You recite the Quran, so everything's fine and all that. And that sounds wonderful, but that's not actually what an attachment means. It's just practice. Are you looking for a practicing person, or are you looking for someone that actually has a healthy attachment to Allah? Because the iman will wave. There'll be highs and lows in the iman. But you're not marrying someone for the iman at that point. You're marrying someone for the attitude and attachment that they have. Because whether the iman is high or whether the iman is low, the marriage is going through a rough patch or the marriage is going through silky, sweet, smooth time, you have consistency for someone there. If you've been inconsistent with this, you grew up in a household in which there has been conflict, your parents were always fighting and arguing, your siblings are always fighting, you didn't see a healthy marriage because you don't know what a healthy marriage is because your mom and dad didn't show you a healthy marriage. This stuff deeply impacts you. You don't know it because it doesn't show up, but generally, subconsciously speaking, a lot of people realize that whatever it is my parents had that I didn't like, I don't want. And if you remind me of my mom, or if you remind me of my dad, I will automatically project onto you a difficult attachment for that. And then when you go through a marriage talk and the marriage talk falls apart, you form an attachment to that person, but then the attachment falls through. Now you have baggage for when you have the next marriage talk you go into. If you guys are on dating apps, and you're using dating apps, this process is on cocaine. It's accelerated, where you're making several matches in one moment, juggling several conversations, and making and breaking several relationships simultaneously. There is no healthy attachments that are being made here unless you're using the app responsibly. And I can promise you, nobody in our Muslim community is using these apps responsibly. It just doesn't work like that at all. This is how we do it. For ourselves. So eventually, what do these attachments look like? It's multiple broken attachments in your life that then create in you an instability of attachment. And that instability manifests itself in many different ways. So if you look at the slide over there, You notice on the right-hand side, there's different attachment styles that come up. This is like a really core thing in psych that we have, which is if you are a child that has been neglected, your parents didn't show you proper affection or love, for yourself. If you are someone who had a negative sense of self, you don't actually like yourself. You don't love yourself. You weren't shown that love, so you don't love yourself. And because of that, you're bitter and you're cynical. So you don't love others. You're not capable of loving others. And if you do, it's fake. It's like a performative kind of thing. Like, oh my God, you look so great, mashallah, I really love you. And internally you're like, yeah, okay, these are just words. I'm giving you a hug because I have to. I'm giving you salam because I have to. This is what creates a disorganized attachment. You don't have love for yourself and you cannot show love for someone else. This is an extremely difficult thing to be in because your relationship is already unstable with yourself. And now let's add in someone else. This relationship is also unstable for that. If you grew up with something that is more positive for others, you learned how to give others a lot of respect and a lot of positivity, but you never inculcated it yourself. Your parents never showed you this. You do a lot of community service and a lot of Islamic work, but you give very little to yourself, and your family gives very little to you. This creates an avoidant attachment, where you are pushing affection and love away. Because for you, it's scary. You don't know what it feels like. And you don't know if it's authentic or sincere for that. There are attachment styles that are the opposite, which is you show a lot of positivity towards others and a lot of positivity to yourself. This is a secure attachment. And this is the healthiest way to approach a relationship. So a lot of trauma, like Alaa said, affects this. Childhood trauma comes out in the way you attach to others. Cultural expectations has a huge piece to do with this. Every single one of us here comes from a different culture, and that culture is from back home, that melds with American culture, and then with an American culture, you now have a generation gap, and you have a cultural gap, and you have an American gap, and there's a very difficult way for you to connect with your family as a result. So because of this, the attachment is very frail, and because of this, your attachment to someone else also becomes very frail, for that. So these things really, really impact the way you perceive what love feels like and how you express love, for this. So keep in mind, as you grow up, and the way I grew up, for this, how did your culture shape you as a kid? What did obedience mean to you? What did Islam mean to you? How did your parents teach you Islam? When you say you're looking for a good Islamic spouse, what does that even mean? Is it your definition or your parents' definition? Or your family's definition? Whose definition is it? Do you even know whose definition you're using for this? When you're looking to marry someone, are you looking because you're trying to reattach back to your family? So you're looking for someone to please your family, or are you looking for someone to please you? Or are you looking for both? Or are you looking for neither? This is where the honesty comes in for this kind of conversation. So keep in mind, what is the impact of your trauma? What is the impact of your cultural expectations that you've had? What experience did you have in your childhood that was validating or neglectful? And how does that shape the way you love yourself? You cannot expect someone else to love you if you don't even know how to express that love to yourself. Impossible to do that. It's a black hole that your spouse is going to throw love into, and will constantly keep throwing love into, and nothing will come out because you don't know how to help this. So that's a big part about how the inner child manifests itself. So if you hit the next slide, there are different family roles that come up for this. This is something where, like, when you guys are growing up, most of us could, like, comfortably fit into, like, some of these roles that we have. I can speak for myself. That for me, I felt that I was more of a invisible child and more of like a parentified child. So what that means is that I'm the eldest sibling. I'm the oldest in my family. So everyone here knows that when you're an immigrant family, you have to kind of become a parent at a very, very early age for your younger siblings. And what that means is that you become a caretaker. You become an overachiever. Your academics are important because the entire weight of the family rests on you. You don't get to do what your younger siblings do because you're the pillar of your family, which means when I'm entering into a relationship, I cannot tolerate me having to parentify my spouse. I'm someone who's very independent, very fierce, do my own thing, set up things myself. I don't need you to do it for me, I'll do it. But this can be very abrasive in a relationship and very controlling in a relationship. My spouse might not like this, that I'm this way, but I grew up this way, I can't help it. That's just who I am. For that. Or it could be the opposite, where your family role is one in which someone else was the overachiever, someone else had the golden status in your family, and you are a neglected child. So for you, everything you do is screaming out for validation and affection and love. And so in a relationship, you can't trust when someone is showing you love and affection because for you, you know what it feels like to have that faked So for you, you have issues with genuineness and sincerity and accepting love genuinely and sincerely. The love doesn't feel real. You have to question whether the love is real or not. You have to test it to see if it's real or not. And this can really deeply hurt your spouse because maybe they do truly love you. They just don't know why it's not being accepted. So these family roles play a big part because the family role becomes a marital role. Who you are as a kid in your family tends to become who you are as a spouse in a relationship.
Yeah, just to add to that, it's like Omar said, you start to mimic the same roles in your early relationships, in your family, and that starts to be the pattern you bring into your marriage. So someone who might be a peacemaker, for example, might avoid conflict. They might actually, try to do everything to appease to their partner, right? So they might actually fall into more patterns of more unmet needs, more neglect, right? Not actually being themselves. I have so many clients who, after marriage, now this common pattern of, I don't know who I am anymore. I lost my identity. I tried to do everything to make this marriage work, but I don't know who I am anymore. And something about the caretaker role in, their home as a child, toward their parents or toward the other siblings, leads to burnout a lot faster. And then you come into this marriage probably nice and fresh in the engagement phase, excited for something fun, and then you fall into this caretaker role all over again. And in your own marriage, now you're emotionally burnt out even faster because you're not meant to be a caretaker to your partner, right? And I'm sorry, I'm looking at the girls, but this is for both. Like all these roles fall in place for both genders, right? Being a caretaker, being the overachiever, being the invisible child. Just a side note, Omar and I were joking on the way over here, like, were we both invisible childs? Or
I think we were.
invisible children?
Yeah.
I'm a middle child. I have severe middle child syndrome. Like, I have so much FOMO.
I'm the eldest child in my family.
And actually, that's important to know, right? Like, when you think about, again, these patterns is just to bring awareness. Like, what roles am I playing right now? And awareness, the power of awareness leads to the power, like it's the power of choice. Then you can choose how you want to continue to be, right? And start applying healthy changes, healthy growth in your life as early as possible. Because it gets so much harder after marriage, right? Because now you're navigating so complex, again, two different histories coming together. And marriage puts a mirror up for you, which we'll talk a lot more about.
So for the next slide, we do have a Slido that we're gonna put up. This is a very heavy question. I'm not gonna lie. Like we asked you guys some basic questions before, which is just like marital status and like inner child. This question is really heavy. I want you guys to do your best to be honest when you answer this question. Be honest about this. It's anonymous, unless you put your name. I hope you don't. But like, be honest when you answer this question. This is such a critical question to ask, especially if you're looking to get married. You should know what this feeling is when you answer this question, because this is usually what makes or breaks a marriage talk for you. It'll come out at some point, and you'll either have to confront it or you'll have to run from it and avoid it. And most of us in relationships tend to avoid and run. We don't tend to confront.
Oh, yes, perfect. You can see. I'm going to read some of these out loud.
Yeah, so keep them coming, and then keep your eyes on the screen, guys, as you see what everyone's saying as like their deepest fears when it comes to being in a relationship.
Being cheated on, marrying the wrong person for my children, and someone that is abusive, conflict, ruining it for myself, or ruining it myself for no reason. Okay, self-doubt, attachment, being too attached to the person, sharing my emotions. Sorry, wow, alhamdulillah, so many.
I love you guys, man. Wow, this is, I'm it's going quick, but like,
The in-laws.
you can feel how heavy your hearts are. Like we can have cute conversations about like, oh, let's get married, like go to couple house and like find somebody or whatever and all that. Cute, it's cute stuff. But like when you look at the screen and you actually low-key see what you're feeling when it comes to this stuff is heavy, man. And you're bringing this into our marriage conversation. And you're smiling at a girl or smiling at a guy, telling them, I'm looking for a good Muslim, mashallah, to marry. But this is what's under the surface. from what you're actually talking about. Like,
And how many of these questions come up during the marriage talks?
do you genuinely have questions about, like, when you guys are in marriage talk, when you say talks, we're in marriage talks, do you actually
I want
talk
to
about
meet.
this stuff? Do you actually reveal that you are Bruce Wayne and you're Batman? Do you guys actually bring up issues of losing yourself in a marriage, getting hurt emotionally? Do you bring up questions about betrayal, or bring up questions about sexual intimacy or sexual abuse that has occurred? Do you bring up questions about, I fear losing my freedom? I'm already in a family in which I don't have freedom, and my fear is if you put a ring on me, it's just exchanging one jail cell for another with you. And do you guys have this conversation about this? Parenting styles, haram money, and all that. There's so much here, man, that's like huge. If you guys look up top, you'll notice that there are buzzwords, the keywords, that are coming up, and those are the words that are most used between everyone, for this. So, any comments on it before we?
Yeah, I just want to note that this is what we're coming into marriages with, right?
Yep.
Or marital talks. And it's not ignorant. It's not coming out of nowhere. It's either something we've already experienced, we've already witnessed, we already carry as a fear within us. And to actually not address these fears, is burying it deeper only for it to be poked at one of the harder times, right? And so if we go to the next slide, just very briefly, right? A trigger, just to know, a trigger is something today in the moment that taps into something old. And it tapped onto your nervous system reacts before your adult mind had time to interpret it. So it's all of these things under the surface, right? But something today happens, a small argument over a cup dropping, for example, but it triggers you, and your reactive, intense reaction might not be about the cup that dropped or the soda that spilled on the white carpet or the comment that you made about my shirt or whatever it is. It might be attached to, and is most likely attached to, a deeper wound, right? My mom always commented, or my dad always commented on my shirt, and so therefore you commenting on it right now is you trying to control me, and it has to do with you not letting me just be myself. Whatever it is, but it's a deeper, like the baggage or everything else that's under the surface, right? It puts us in different states. We can be in the fight, flight, freeze, or fawn states, which impact the way we respond to what could be a normal conversation, or, he thought he was just making a comment about the food not being colorful or too salty or whatever it is, but then it puts me in a state because my nervous system, I don't know if you're familiar with the concept of the body keeps the score, but like we hold on to our experiences, and the body has its own source of memory, like it has its own reservoir of memory, right? And sometimes our body or our nervous system will respond before our mind can even know what the heck just happened, right? And that's why sometimes it's just like a flip of a switch, that we were in such a good mood, we were so happy, I made one comment, and now all of a sudden he's going whack, he's so angry. Or now all of a sudden she's, shut down and withdrawing from me. Being in a flight mode might be that complete avoidance, a withdrawal, not wanting to actually engage with or handle the situation at hand. Being in fight mode is now we're aggressive and we're fighting and we're attacking each other, right? Being in fawn mode means wanting to appease to or please the person or placate, and no, it's okay, and now you start to actually shrink yourself in that moment. And then being in fight, flight, freeze. So there are so many different ways to react, and all of those ways to respond to a conflict in the moment actually don't address it, and it distances a person from their partner. It distances us instead of brings us closer together, and instead of learning how to properly handle the conflict. If a person is triggered, you'll see that they might be heightened in, they have heightened sensitivity to the other person's tone or behavior, right? Like, why did you have to say it like that, right? Or, Omar, you keep leaving your socks in the same place, and I want you to put it away, right? But
I'm sorry. I thought it was good. I'm sorry. My bad.
Right, just normal everyday examples, but it could mean something else. And if I'm responding to the meaning that is attached to all of my inner child wound, and not just the issue at hand, then we're not actually going to resolve the issue at hand, right? And he's not going to know that I'm actually going through so much more internally, right? But that awareness is important. And one of the things that, and we'll talk a little bit about like healing the inner child through therapy, but one of the things is to really become aware of your triggers, right? To know what is triggering you, and we'll provide some prompts or some questions of how to like just check in, right? Like, you know, what am I actually hurt about right now? What am I actually thinking about right now? What am I feeling right now, and what is it attached to? Because something else is under the surface here. Another sign of being triggered is if a person feels misunderstood or rejected, or if there's a quick shift into defensiveness, and now I'm like, all my guards are up and I gotta protect myself because you are out to get me. And now all of a sudden there's this massive narrative of maliciousness, or I'm unsafe, or I am alone, or completely misunderstood, completely unheard, right? Like, we're not addressing the socks anymore. We're addressing all of that wound of, I'm used to this. I'm used to being unheard. I'm used to being misunderstood. I'm used to being the one who has to just close or shut up and, you know, appease to the situation. And then this automatic protective reactions, that is the same as being defensive. But this is why small arguments end up feeling huge, and ultimately they symbolize something else. And in advance, we want to know what all those something else's could be.
Okay, so if you look at the screen for the next slide, you guys will see 4 weird, creepy, like beings or people things. Each one is going to represent a different kind of childhood wound, and then what that wound means for you as to how it affects a relationship, or what it means in a relationship for you for that. So we start first with a wound in which you have constantly been made to feel guilty. Your deen is built on guilt. Do this, pray, fast, read Quran, and recite and all this, or Allah will punish you and you're going to hell. The motivation for everything you do in your life is out of guilt, and it's out of shame, and it's out of embarrassment, which is why you do what you do, in your life. It's all negatively motivated. So someone who suffers from this kind of wound in their childhood oftentimes constantly has to feel sorry or bad, or is fearful of making someone else feel this way. Oftentimes you'll use this to manipulate others because it's how you were manipulated. Every single person here knows, because this is how the immigrant parent makes you feel, that you need to obey them. When I die, then you'll see. If you marry this boy, I'll kill myself. And you're thinking to yourself, are you really gonna do this? No, she's not really gonna kill herself if you marry this boy, but she is willing to hedge her safety on your heart in knowing that you will change your mind in order to make her happy, in order for you to suppress your happiness and elevate hers. She has allowed you to essentially condone abuse. Because now if your husband then tells you, we're gonna do this, and if we don't, I'm walking out of the house. You've heard this before as a little girl. You know what this means. What are you gonna do for your husband? You will bow your head and you will say, please don't go, I'll do what you tell me to do, and I'll do it in whatever way you want me to do this, because I don't want you to leave. I don't want you to die. I don't want you to walk out that door and never come back. There is a childhood girl that is coming out as a grown woman in a relationship, and this is the wound making its appearance. As guys, every single thing we have done has usually been through negative motivation. I don't know how many men here have had a father who has hugged them, kissed them, and said, I love you and I appreciate you. I don't know how many of you have. If you have, mashallah. If you have not, then you know what the wound here feels like when you are neglected. And this is a neglect wound that someone can have. This is where you struggle to let things go and you have low self-esteem and low self-worth, low self-value. You don't actually love yourself. You've never been shown love. How can you love yourself? So what does your love look like? Your love looks like Andrew Tate. Your love looks like Jordan Peterson. Your love looks like Sneeko. Your love looks like Aiden Ross. Your love looks like a paper-thin caricature fake presentation of what masculinity is because you don't have the strength and the fortitude and the backbone of proper love and affection. So the first time a girl rejects you, or the first time a girl tells you no, not interested, it destroys you because you have not had a proper self-esteem for you. You feel rejected, you feel abandoned, you feel neglected. And what do you do in the meanwhile? You don't reconstitute yourself. You simply say all women suck and women are terrible and they're horrible people. And I'm gonna look for a girl who's nothing like any of you guys. And this then becomes the pipeline of low self-esteem, low self-value, and hollowness that then feeds into red pill. And this is where now girls then encounter a guy, and with every single rejection, you become more and more bitter and jaded and cynical. And eventually, you drown in your own loneliness as a result of this. But you'll never acknowledge that it's loneliness. You'll simply acknowledge it as every single girl doesn't see me for who and what I am. Do you guys see how I'm showing you where the little boy who was broken and wounded comes out in this way and then breaks other boys and breaks other girls? This is not just one simple wound, it's a wound that keeps wounding over and over and over again until eventually you come from a broken family, and broken family means broken community means broken city means broken ummah. And it all comes down to the individual. For here, there's two more major wounds that I'm gonna briefly touch upon, then we're gonna move forward, which is an abandonment wound. Every single person here knows what this feeling can feel like, which is being abandoned by someone. And abandonment can be something as simple as I DM'd him and he left me on red. You think it's something stupid and simple, it's just leaving someone on red, but for someone who has suffered from emotional abandonment, pouring their heart out to a family member or a parent and getting nothing in response, you can see how a simple left on red or ghosting someone on a DM or leaving a DM on red can destroy someone's self-esteem, because it's not just leaving me on red, you've abandoned me. And now because of this, I'm gonna continuously barrage you with DMs and call you and message you and find every single social media app to find you, because I cannot bear the thought of you not responding to me. Because if you don't respond to me, I'm not good enough. I'm ugly, I'm stupid, I'm hideous, I'm disgusting, I messed up, I did something wrong, I don't know what I said or how I said it. I'm gonna scroll through my phone and look at every single DM I sent you, looking for the mistake I made that made you reject me. Do you guys see how this is coming out? And you're not even married yet, there's no ring. This is just DMs. But imagine if you put a ring on it. How can you have a functional marriage if this is what your DMs look like? Do you see how wounded you are? And how a marriage will not fix this. Like Alaa said, the marriage is not gonna magically fix this and make it better again. The marriage is gonna bring all this out. And the stakes are gonna be so much higher, because now it's not being left on red. Now, the abandonment is gonna look like divorce. And you're in a much more scarier place than you were when it's just DMs. And it's just goofing around, on Instagram or on like Snapchat, or even on TikTok. So keep in mind what these wounds look like and where you feel your wounds are for this. Every single person here is wounded. Don't lie to yourself and say you're not. Be honest with yourself. Where and how and when have you been wounded? That's the first step towards then becoming a better version of you, and then ultimately finding a better person to be with you in yourself.
Yeah, just one thing to point out about these 4 core inner child wounds is that oftentimes where we're kind of going back to being wounded in our childhood or in our early relationships, may it be our caregivers, whether it's our mom, our dad, our grandparents, or someone that was meant to look after us but fell short. And the reality is, why Omar says hey, we all have some of these wounds. Just like he started, we come from immigrant backgrounds for the most part, right? We are dealing with so many intersectional identities and experiences, and someone was going to fall short somewhere down the line. This is not to put blame on our parents, right? This is not to put to point outward, right? But it's just to be honest and to be real about our experiences. And naming it helps us tame it, helps us understand it, helps us learn about ourselves and about the potential person that we're going to marry, or the relationships and friendships that we have. And even to be merciful toward our parents who their parents may have fallen short, or who they themselves were abandoned by an entire country or had to leave wars, right, to make it to where they are, whose entire life was in survival mode. Intergenerational trauma is so real for our communities. I point to this because when Umar says we all have inner child wounds, right, it's just to be honest and real about what's within us. It doesn't mean we're weak. It doesn't mean we're broken. In fact, it was a promise from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I'm going to test you. This dunya is not about your wholeness and your peace and your complete serenity. That's your Jannah, right? And that's your home. And your fitrah is always calling you back to wanting to be at home so you're not fully satisfied with everything in dunya. Because if you were, you wouldn't want to go back to Jannah, right? And so the reality is, know it, be okay with it, so you can be compassionate toward it, right? And embrace that inner child within you so you're ready to embrace the inner child of the person that's coming to you, right? Not that it's our responsibility to heal each other, but the next slide, if you move to it, actually talks about how in marriage, though we can activate old wounds of the other person or be activated, in our marriages we can also heal, right? And I want to just briefly say, I'm not saying get married to heal, right? A lot of the healing comes first in our own work, right? And it is a big responsibility of our own to do that work before signing up for a lifelong commitment to another person. But I truly believe that this is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala prioritizes deen as half of your iman, right? Because in a marriage, you are facing a mirror. It's one of the closest relationships where someone is going to mirror back to you your flaws, right? Your wounds, your defenses. You're going to learn compassion. You're going to learn patience, whether you like it or not. That's going to happen in your marriage, right? And you're going to learn not just with another person, but with yourself. And you know, Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said, the believer is the mirror of his brother, right? Like the concept of mirroring, you know, even as a therapist, my perception and the way I've learned in Islamic psychology, the way I present as a therapist in a session with a client is I'm just a mirror. I'm going to help you see what you might not be seeing, right? And we're going to clear the fog off of your mirror, right? We're going to get to an honest place, and we're going to tap in a little bit deeper. But I'm just a mirror to reflect back what you bring here, right? And the core, like the bedrock, and I believe the bedrock of our deen is rahmah, but the bedrock and foundation of a healthy marriage is rahmah. It's compassion. It's being able to hold up this mirror with compassion and mercy and kindness and curiosity and warmth, right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's name in the Quran that is mentioned synonymously to Allah is Ar-Rahman. We say Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah upon you. We're constantly seeking the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We constantly seek it. We need it, right? We crave for it. And it's so beautiful when we learn and master giving it, right? It becomes easier to receive. And in this mirrored relationship, that rahmah, it is what actually finally gives the other person a safe space to say, I can actually be okay here, flawed and all, wounded and all, right? I'm safe. There's no shame associated with my wounds. And because in marriage you're growing as an individual, you're growing as a person, right? In life, you're growing, right? Your journey of tazkiyah does not stop after marriage, right? You want to know that you can do that without shame, right? This mirror says, I see you're hurting, I see you, and I am here, right? It gives your nervous system and the other person's nervous system a chance to feel safe, to relax, and to regulate, right? Yep. But when reflection is harsh, when it's shaming and when it's dismissive, it reactivates that wound. And this is how we can reinforce to another person, nope, you're not safe here. And this is how we stay triggered in a relationship, and this is how we continue triggering our partner in a relationship. So again, that rahmah is the bedrock. And this is to encourage us, like we're not trying to run away from triggers. We're actually trying to deal with our wounds and our pain and our discomforts in a place of safety so we can grow from them. Okay, the next slide. No, did you want to add anything to that?
No, you're good.
Yeah,
So
and
for our next slide on becoming a clean mirror, I think, Alaa, you covered a lot of this one.
yeah, I think it's just a matter of like looking inward and what can I do to be a clean mirror for my partner, right? First and foremost, you got to be that for yourself. How many of us actually look in the mirror and say something nice to ourselves, right? How many of us are actually putting ourselves down? How many of us are actually activating ourselves even harsher, right? So the idea of like regulating yourself before responding to a fight, and practice this in your relationship with your parents, practice this in your relationship with your kids if you have kids, practice this in your relationship with your siblings, practice this in your relationships with your friends, and very, very importantly, practice this in your relationship with yourself, knowing that your relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the constant. It goes with you and it comes with you in every single relationship. In this very moment, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is present with us. Having that kind of constant awareness, right, helps us like not stop doing the tazkiyah work, right? Reflecting on our patterns instead of attacking our own identity, instead of attacking a person's identity, right? Being a clean mirror means approaching conflict with curiosity instead of accusations, or repairing quickly when you fall short. And this is a really big one, right? We don't, like in marriage, one thing that Omar and I always bring to a space is saying it's not about right versus wrong. It's not about you versus me. If you're ever doing that in a relationship, you're literally saying, let's separate here, right? I want to be, seen in a way that, makes you feel unseen, right? I'm going to trample on your needs in order to get my needs met. Instead, it's actually, I want to see your heart where it is, and I want my heart to be seen where it is in the moment. It's not you versus me. It's about what we're both feeling, right? And going at a deeper level under the surface, what is our emotional state? And truly looking at it as it's not Omar versus Alaa, it is Omar and Alaa versus problem.
Yeah.
We learn that together we can address the issue, and the issue is outside of us. It's not within this space, right?
Even when it's like me personally. So for example, if it's like Omar has an insecurity. This is not Alaa versus my insecurity, and I have to defend against her. She's gonna hurt me. It's Omar working with Alaa about an issue I need help with, meaning it's a partnership between us and not attacking me. The problem with the way all of us grow up, it's that you don't ever talk to me about my insecurity, you attack me for my insecurity. So naturally, I'm gonna take what I've been hurt with in my family and believe she will hurt me too. So when Alaa gives me advice or nasiha, I don't perceive it as nasiha, it's perceived as you're attacking me.
Criticism.
That way, we as a couple are in conflict. And the conflict is about something very deep. This is not some easy fix where we go to like IKEA and we buy a couch or whatever and we're good. You're attacking me as a person, which means that this marriage is not a healthy marriage. You're a toxic person. I can't be uncomfortable with you about this. You can see how a small crack becomes a deep geyser, and then the marriage itself buckles under the weight of my insecurity over a problem. But the thing is that I'm not ready to have that conversation. So rather than having the conversation that's uncomfortable, I will push Alaa away and then feel like I would rather avoid a problem than confront a problem. I'm not ready for it. When it's Omar and Alaa versus a problem, like Alaa was saying, Alaa comes to me with rahmah, Alaa comes to me with, I love you. The foundation, I love you. And us talking about this is not meant to hurt you. It's meant to help you. And if you do show me vulnerability, we'll actually grow closer rather than pushing apart.
Right.
And so by discussing an insecurity that I have, we actually become a better couple, not a weaker couple as a result.
Right. I don't know about you, but IKEA furniture is really hard to build, especially if there's like missing screws and missing parts. And ultimately, not a bad example at all, because marriage it's a lot to
IKEA
build.
couch.
Right? Not an IKEA couch, a desk. But yeah, marriage is building. You're building, and if you're building together and you're making sure there aren't missing parts, right, you're going to build strong and you're going to build healthy, and then you can sit on the chair without falling. But yeah, your spouse's inner child needs gentleness, just like yours does. Yep, and the goal isn't to be perfect mirrors, it's just to be clear, clean, honest mirrors with gentleness. The next slide. And I want to be mindful of time, 8:53.
We'll be quicker with these next ones. So, what are some signs that right now you are in your inner child? So, like for most of you, if you guys are on a dating app, or if you guys are sliding into DMs, or if you guys are hitting each other up at like Kahwa House, or whatever it is you're doing, if in these moments of trying to connect with a girl or connect with a guy, you realize that there is a lot of anxiety, or there's a lot of baggage, or you're feeling a lot of emotional weight, or you are highly guarded when you're doing this, keeping someone at arm's length no matter what, even when the conversation tends to veer towards something emotionally heavy, you immediately tuck tail and like dodge it, or go like a lol at the end of it, or JK at the end of it, or put a meme or put a smiley emoji, because you're trying to protect against actually being deep, because for you it's a scary thing, you know, to be there. That's a childhood wound. That's how you know that you're not really ready yet. Some inner work, like Alaa said, needs to be done. Some tarbiyat, some tasqiyah needs to be performed here, you know, for yourself. If you feel small, if you feel helpless, if you feel overwhelmed, if you feel worthless, if you feel like you are less than in a relationship, something here is wrong. Something here definitely isn't right. This is the precursor to an abusive relationship. And if you are wearing rose-tinted glasses and you truly believe this is Prince Charming or this is the princess in your life, every single red flag looks like a regular flag to you when you're wearing rose-tinted glasses. Every red flag looks like a regular flag when you're wearing rose-tinted glasses. And the rose-tinted glasses, where do they come from? They come from a broken inner childhood wound. Because that's why you're wearing the rose-tinted glasses. You are looking for happiness and love and affection and a Disney ending for yourself because you never had that in your family. And you believe that this guy or this girl is your ticket out of all that. You can't. This is not the proper way to engage. Believe me, these DMs are going to end in a lot of heartbreak. So protect yourself and guard yourself in a healthy manner, you know, for that. If you are over apologizing, if you're constantly saying sorry and constantly apologizing, constantly deferring, this is a childhood wound. Why? Why are you constantly apologizing? What are you shrinking for? Where is your confidence? Where's your self-confidence? Where's your self-esteem? These are huge questions. Where are they? And don't expect like the dude you're DMing to be your therapist and answer these questions. And don't expect the girl to be like, yeah, let me help you, dude. I can fix him. No, absolutely not. It's not your job to fix him. It's his job to fix him. It's your job to fix you. You fix each other like this. Like this is how like a marriage works. So if you feel like you are being a therapist to someone, if you feel like you are unloading or you're trauma dumping on someone, all this is inappropriate. None of this stands up for an actual like healthy like relationship. Take a big step back, and self-evaluate. And if you're having difficulty with that, the next few slides I think are going to be really helpful, because Alaa and I are now going to delve into what are the actual healing methods to actually help to take care of the inner boy or the inner girl that has been wounded in your DMs. So if we go to the next slide. Oh, nice, thank you. These are some of the healing tools that Alaa and I put up. These are very simple, they're very like straightforward. Truthfully speaking, given like what we mentioned before, which is like how complicated and how difficult our childhoods have been as like children of immigrants, like surviving in New York and surviving through our families, this is not so easy and simple a thing as just follow this and you'll be Gucci. It doesn't work like that. Oftentimes for many of us, my recommendation, what Alaa and I will push for, is to go to therapy. It's to actually like, you know what, I'm gonna take the plunge. I'm gonna sign up through Mass Social Services Department, or go with like Arab Family Association, or go with any other organization like Nasiha or whatever, and actually get therapy for yourself, where you can talk about identifying and validation of emotions, identifying your triggers, going through coping mechanisms, having talk therapy, talking through an inner childhood wound or a family wound or a family dysfunction. You're about to bring a girl into your family. You know your family and you know what's going to happen, but you don't know how to navigate it. How do I get her past my dad? Or in this case, you're bringing a guy home and you know racism and sexism and classism will come up, but you don't know how to handle these conversations. This is where a therapist is in your corner. It's like a boxing coach in your corner, telling you how to fight and how to advocate in a way that's healthy and protective for you and the relationship you're looking to build. So consider therapy, and consider taking good care of yourself, and consider understanding yourself better before you jump into a relationship. Or hope that a relationship will then be the mirror that you're holding up to yourself. You don't leave the house, walk in front of a guy, and then tell the guy, what do I look like? You look yourself in the mirror first before you even step out of the house. Same thing for the dudes. Like, you don't automatically use another person as your mirror. You should be your own self-mirror. And then when you're in a relationship, that mirror helps you to see even clearer. And that's how you know it's a healthy relationship.
Yeah, so this kind of answers a lot of the questions. And as I'm reviewing the questions, mashallah, there are so many. If we can't get to all of them today, we will spend some time answering some of these questions. So save that link, and inshallah, you can get the answers throughout the weekend.
So I think we have one more Slido.
But I do want to just like briefly mention like what Omar went through right now are some like individual healing tools that you can just take home and start applying, right? And like he mentioned, if I have big T's in my life, if you have trauma, right, or if you've gone through something, or if you feel stuck, don't wait, right? Get help. Do it with someone, right? A therapist is just a mirror who is going to help you kind of navigate where you're lost inside of you. But I want to also point out that like a lot of these tools, they're about helping you get access inward to yourself and reduce reactivity, right? And also there's like our nervous system, as I mentioned earlier, it keeps the score. It holds things that we're stuck with or we've been stuck with from childhood, like energy, right? And it sits there. And tools like this, what it does is it helps move that energy through you to integrate and outside of you so that it's not like kind of gathered up to throw an attack during rough times, right? But, and I like to think of that as like the spiritual part of us, right? Like Prophet Muhammad ﷺ has so many hadith that teach us what to do in times of anger, for example, lay down or make wudu, right? And even just the concept of wudu itself is a spiritual act, right? There's hikmah in with every drop of water, there's a dropping of sin. There's a connection that Allah wants to continue reminding us that we make intentionally and deliberately with our spiritual self. So we're not just in our heads, right? Thinking like too much, right? Or in our heads, or so we're not just in our bodies. But yeah, so these are very, very helpful tools. I would encourage, using them to get familiar with your triggers, to get familiar with who you are and what you're bringing to a relationship and what you're bringing into your day-to-day. And then the next slide actually talks about what it would be like to heal through your inner child in therapy. So, and I'll just say it very, very briefly. If you go to the next slide, our computer has been left alone. But just very briefly, it's about identifying unresolved issues. So recognizing and acknowledging past traumas and unmet needs, exploring those emotions, but doing it in the presence of someone who can help navigate with just the right questions and the right prompts. And then nurturing this inner child. So providing the care and understanding needed for healing. That's very, very general. I'm so sorry. But if you want to know what therapy is like, try it.
Yeah. The next slide for the relationship goals. The only thing I'm going to tell you guys, this is super, super important. I'm going to emphasize this, which is more important than a $75,000 wedding or having like 50 million people show up for your wedding and having like great food and great whatever and all that stuff. Everyone's looking for the golden wedding for themselves. They want to have like this picture-perfect Instagram moment that they want to post. More important than any of that is actually investing in the relationship and not investing in the wedding. I think we kind of have it backwards as a Muslim community in which you have gorgeous weddings and ugly marriages. And it doesn't make sense to me as a community because Alaa and I deal with the other end of it. We deal with the broken relationships. We deal with abuse. We deal with divorce. We deal with the trauma and the fallout from these relationships. So we see beautiful weddings all the time on Instagram, but we kind of see the beneath and what's actually there. If you're going to invest anything into your relationship, the best recommendation I'm going to make is to invest in premarital counseling. Like I strongly advocate for this. People think about like marital counseling as something you do when you're on the precipice of divorce. That doesn't make sense. That's not what marriage counseling is
Because
for.
if that's when you're going, most likely it's going to be a divorce.
Most likely it's going to be a divorce at that
And
point.
there's nothing wrong with divorce. It's just all of the pain that comes before and after it.
So if you're going to do this, the best thing I would say is before you take your pen and before you sign a nikah contract, make sure that you and your intended are doing premarital counseling. Make sure you sit with a counselor, talk about what the problems and issues are that you are not speaking about, but you're jumping into the relationship anyway because you believe it'll work itself out. I promise you, it will not work itself out. Make sure you have these conversations now. If you don't know what parenting feels like, and you don't know if you're gonna have a kid with this person, talk about that. What does parenting look like? What does parenting feel like? What did parenting feel like for you? What are you scared of and running away from? Did your parents hurt you and you're scared to hurt another kid? Did you even say this to him? Do you even know? Did you guys have this conversation? You should have this conversation before you do this. What does sexual intimacy even look like? What does sexual compatibility even look like? Do you even know? You have no idea. You can have this conversation with a Muslim mental health professional. And this conversation is perfectly valid to have this kind of conversation. This is where compatibility is actually tested. And to have a third-party person who is not wearing any rose-tinted glasses be able to actually assess the strength of your relationship and assess where you guys are weak and where you guys are strong, where the pitfalls are and where you have not communicated. Where are you compatible? Where are you incompatible? And incompatible doesn't mean no relationship. It just means conversation. You have to have a conversation about this, for yourselves. So I strongly, strongly recommend, do not sign a nikah contract with someone until you've done premarital counseling. If your sheikh tells you it's all hunky-dory, it's all Gucci, don't worry about it, I got you, I'll sign off on whatever you need to do, get yourself a better sheikh, please. Get yourself a sheikh who actually cares about the two of you and knows that you guys are willing to put in the work to actually make this work. Like, God forbid, dude, we already have a huge divorce problem in our Muslim community. I cannot have more statistics being added to that. Do not become that statistic in the Muslim community. You can be better. You can be stronger. You can advocate for yourself. And if your family will not advocate for you and your family will not protect you, protect yourself then. Protect yourself for this. So I strongly recommend that for you guys. If anyone here is interested in marriage talks, your marriage talks are getting serious, you guys are ready to go to your parents, you're ready to make this official, you're ready to make the big announcement for all that stuff, get premarital counseling. Make sure it's a requirement for you to do that. And if your guy is being whatever about it, or your girl is being whatever about it, tell them that I'm gonna stipulate it as part of my mahar. You must do counseling with me. And if you don't, the marriage is kaput. That to me is a very rock solid, you know where your priorities are, you know how to protect yourself. Doesn't mean you're gonna hurt me, just means that I love you enough to invest in this for that. And then after that, by all means, have a $3 million wedding if you want to, have a Jeff Bezos wedding if you want, I don't care, whatever you wanna do. You've actually had a strong foundation upon which now you can play. Okay? That's about it, I think. That's good fine.
I'm going to put in a quick plug. And in the next slide, and I tried to find the right QR code, but I didn't. We, as mentioned, we both work. Oh, no, it's not added. Okay. We both work for an organization called the Family and Youth Institute. And what we have with the Family and Youth Institute is a course that we really, really recommend before marriage. It's called Prepare to Pair. And if you go to thefyi.org, very simple, thefyi.org, you'll find all of our resources. There's so many questions you can ask. But this course in particular, we encourage to people who are in talks or engaged, or even at the early stages. We did it at the early stages of our marriage, not because we had to present on it. But it's really, really helpful, right? It's 6 course, it's independently led, self-paced modules where you and the person that you're talking to can do these courses. First, you actually do an assessment to see where your interests align, where they're not aligned. You do the 6 modules, and then at the end of it, you actually can meet with a counselor together to see, hey, what is mismatching here, and what's going to work. But yeah, I would really, really recommend it. So go to the website, thefyi.org, and check out Prepare to Pair. Check out our resources. But like Omar said, preparing is the way, right? Know yourself before going in, but then also give the time to know each other and each other's entire history, right? In a compassionate place. Okay, so this next activity is just a brief one that we wanted to just kind of engage in with our inner child, right? Our inner child. So I want to ask you guys all to just kind of picture yourself at 7 years old, and to actually picture the way you looked, your body, your small tiny body. Picture yourself in that age, right? Picture what did you need the most? And how does that need show up today in your relationship? Think about that little girl. Think about that little boy in you, 7 years old, maybe sitting by yourself in your room or sitting in a big crowd of people. What did I need at that age? Was it safety? Was it validation? Was it presence? Just someone to come sit next to me or ask me how I was feeling? Someone to talk to me? Was it guidance? Someone to just hold my hand and walk me through that scary day? Was it gentleness? What else could it have been? Right, I think do this again and again and again. I'm actually going to give you guys some time to sit with that for a little bit. If your inner child still feels lonely or alone, that's not going to go away. Right? That feeling is not going to go away no matter how many people are in your presence. So take the time to do this reflection every once in a while. Because that inner child, that's you. That is who you are. Thank you all so, so much for letting us go into this deep space with you all, right? We'll actually show this next slide, which we want to know what statement best describes what your inner child means to you now after tonight's session. So if you can
Go ahead, phones out,
join
scan the
quiz.
QR.
Let's hear what comes up for you now. Is the question?
Is the question up?
I don't know, it's not activated.
There we go, perfect.
Oh, thank you so much.
Jazaak khair, thank you.
The wrong question. Omar, help.
Why, what's going on?
I don't know. I don't know if it's from our end or theirs.
Oh, I mean, it's on the screen, I see it.
It's on the screen?
Yeah.
Oh, perfect, it just needed a minute.
I don't see the results though, but I see it up.
Oh, here. This is what I meant to show you.
Got it?
No, this is it. It doesn't have the actual question on there.
Like everyone's putting their names in.
Wait, no, it does. It shows it on the screen.
Yeah, I don't know, it's not, I don't think it's, this one's active, it's okay. Oh, it does? You have to put a name in?
okay, I see it
Oh,
now.
that's why people bring random names in. Someone put Batman. Someone's really obsessed with Batman tonight. I hope you guys are okay.
Okay, perfect. Which statement best describes what your inner child means to you now after tonight's session? A part of me I didn't realize was running half of my arguments. The younger me who deserves compassion, not criticism. A mirror that shows me why certain things hurt more than they should, quote unquote. A roadmap for how I want to grow before or within marriage. And all of the above, unfortunately. I'm glad so many people answered the correct answer. It is all of the above.
Wow, subhanAllah.
So, yep. So to close.
Oh, you can jump to the next slide.
Yeah, we can move to the
our
next
final slide. And we're going to wrap up with this. So, like, oh, congratulations, Anan. You did great.
I probably put the quiz in wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, we can jump to our closing slide. So in closing, the most important thing that I think Alaa and I want to leave you guys with is a few thoughts. The first thought being that Every single one of us is wounded. We're all hurting. You cannot say I believe and not be tested. It's the mere fact that you are Muslim and that you are a believer that Allah is testing you. And some of our tests are very severe. Some of our tests are not yet severe. Maybe marriage might be a huge test for you, or maybe marriage might be something that's a big source of barakah for you. Allahu Alam, I don't know. But what I do know is that every single one of us is hurt. Every single one of us is wounded. And that we are carrying quite a bit with us. And many of us have this dream that marriage is going to be what like fixes everything, and that I will find love finally. I'll find validation. I'll find respect. I'll find appreciation. I'll find the cure for my loneliness. I'll get everything I didn't get in my family, and I'll find it in my marriage, for myself. And there's nothing wrong with believing this and wanting this in your marriage. The only problem is that we kind of put everything that we are wounded with into our marriage and hoping and praying that everything gets fixed. And it never works out that way. Never. Marriage is something that requires a lot of time and effort and investment and work. And if you're not prepared or ready for that, then it's going to be a very difficult process. Your marriage will not turn into the dream that you're hoping for. It'll be very difficult for you. And so you can make it a dream, you can. It's just a matter of making sure that you build it. And that means building yourself into a healthier version of you. And then a healthier you seeks out healthier others, seeks out healthier potentials for yourself. If you are someone who is broken, it's hard for you to find healthiness because you've never been in a state of healthiness for yourself. How could you know, for that? So it's important to take care of yourself and be able to show that self-love and that self-compassion and that rahmah upon yourself so that you know what rahmah feels like when someone's giving it to you, and actually have love for yourself so you know what love feels like when someone gives it to you. And to have honor and to have izzat and to have self-esteem and to have self-worth and self-value so you know what it feels like when a spouse gives that to you. So I ask that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect each and every one of you from having your hearts broken, from having your hearts torn apart, from having your hearts smashed. And I ask that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect and preserve and purify each of our hearts. And I ask that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow you to put your heart in the hands of someone who will hold it with rahmah and hold it with gentleness and hold it with ease, and will be someone that will actually bring you rahmah and bring you comfort and bring you sukoon and bring you a sense of elevation for yourself and not hurt you and harm you more than the wounds you already carry for yourself. I ask that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant you shifa for what you guys are experiencing and what you've been wounded with. For every little girl that is listening to us, for every little boy that is listening to us, I ask that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow you to be the adult that little girl and that little boy needed but never got. You are that adult now. You're that adult now. I ask that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala empower you to be that adult for that little girl and for that little boy before you include another person in your life and make this an even more complicated thing or an even bigger thing than it is. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow you to have the dream wedding that you're fantasizing about, and may Allah allow you to have the dream relationship that you're fantasizing about, for yourselves, and make it something actually beautiful for you, for that. So just want to say from my end, Jazakallah khair, and those are my closing thoughts for you guys. I love you all, mashallah. I really genuinely do. I hope you guys have what you're looking for, and that Allah protect your hearts. Genuinely. I never ever want someone to be heartbroken. I don't want that for you guys. You have a beautiful heart. Allah only gave you one. Take good care of it. Take good care of it. Jazakallah khair, guys.
Yeah, alhamdulillah.
Allahu Akbar.
Allahu Akbar.
I'm sorry if you want to close.
No, not at all. That was perfect.
Yeah?
Alhamdulillah, I just want to add that, we scared the heck out of you guys, I know. But, marriage can also bring you the deepest of joys, right? And with this kind of work, you may experience simultaneously the deepest of joys. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala prescribed marriage as a means for fulfilling us in ways that even outside of marriage, it has its role that you can't replace, right? And so Allah elevates the status of marriage, and so I just want to put that in there, like our degrees, anything that's hard to work for, marriage is worth it, right? So I do want to point out that we have a lot of questions, and it's 9:15, so it's up to the organizers what we have time for.
Yeah.
And I want to just thank everyone for the beautiful comments that were coming in, and for taking the time to trust us in this space and with these questions. Yep. If they, yep.
10 minutes? Okay, could we pull up the Q&A Slido?
Omar, do you have access to it on your phone?
If I scan it, I probably do.
So again, we have a lot of questions. What we'll do is we'll probably start from those questions
It's in the
that
beginning
have
slide, the first slide.
the highest priority. And then,
Yeah, so-
meaning like a lot of people have given it a thumbs up, meaning
Yeah,
a
so
lot of
it's
people
the
want
one
an
that's
answer.
the most upvoted. So whoever upvotes like that question, that becomes a question that Alaa and I will focus on. Oh, wow, that one has a lot of upvotes.
And then if there are any questions we can't get to today, I am more than happy to spend some time over the weekend to still answer them. So please hold on to this Slido access.
Mm-hmm.
And please check back in if you had a question that didn't get answered
Yes.
and you want it to.
I'm sorry? That would be at least the most important ones. Anyway, so Alaa and I will be a little quick with this one. So the biggest one that's the most upvoted up there is, I just want to say you're both beautiful people and you did great today, / we hope to see you here more often. May Allah bless your marriage. That's a very sweet, thank you.
Thank
Jazakallah,
you
whoever wrote
so
that.
much.
Jazakallah, thank you so much.
Alhamdulillah.
I appreciate that. You'd be surprised how negative even speakers can be towards ourselves. So like, you know, everything I think Alaa and I talked about up on the stage, it's kind of like a reminder for us first, and also a reminder for you guys. There is a little boy, Omar, that is also up on stage, and there's a little girl, Alaa, that is up on stage, and the two of us have been wounded. And like, for us, the marriage, everything we talked to you, literally everything we talked to you about, is what the two of us have like been working through, and like trying to like, you know, make better for ourselves.
One of the biggest things that we've said and we're dedicated to, because we do marriage talks like all the time and in so many groups, in so many ages and stages. But we don't want to just come up as professionals who, you know, have read stuff and understood stuff from research and whatnot, but like we're two individuals who are also, alhamdulillah, married for 6 years, not parents yet. May Allah grant us that if we're worthy. And you know, we're dealing with all the hard stuff, and we don't want to present it as just beautiful, right? But it really is beautiful when you do the work, and you know the reward is so worth it, alhamdulillah. So may Allah bless everyone with a healthy marriage, and and bless our ummah, because we need it. We need healthier people. We need healthier people to be passing on healthy messages to the next generation, right?
Absolutely. I think the best decision I made was marrying a Palestinian. So, yeah. I don't know if it's the best decision you made marrying Daisy, though. I don't know if we can handle our spice.
I love interracial and intercultural mixing. I think this is so beautiful in our deen, and it just brings the pure Islam out. And so I promote it all the way.
أنا بحبك.
Aw, me too.
So for next one, we got, how do you navigate the trauma of your inner child when getting to know someone? How much should you actually be sharing or bringing to that person? I'm gonna briefly comment on this one, I'm gonna throw it to Alaa, which is a major, major issue that I think we're seeing through dating apps and through DMs, is the concept, I'm gonna give you two concepts. The first one is trauma dumping. So you bonding with someone is not the same as trauma dumping. That doesn't mean you're bonding with someone. If the first DM that like you send a guy is like, oh my God, when I was a little girl, like this is what my dad did to me, and like it was the worst thing ever, and like this is what it's like done to me, and like I can't focus and concentrate in school, I'm pretty sure I have PTSD, and I have ADHD, and I take like these 3 medications, and like it really truly takes someone really sensitive to my needs, and that's what I'm really looking for. And this is your first DM, like I'm pretty sure you're not gonna have a good time, because this is not respecting the sensibility and the sensitivity towards a relationship. Trauma dumping means that you are not in a healthy space. You should not be trauma dumping on someone. The conversation about trauma should be mutual, should be respectful, and should be something where you're building on it. The foundation of your relationship should not be trauma. The foundation of your relationship should be love, respect, appreciation, and safety, upon which you talk about trauma. Do you guys see where I'm coming from this? That's why trauma dumping is like a major, major red flag, you know, for this. Be very careful. Don't trauma dump. That's the first thing I will say. And then second, if someone's trauma dumping, be respectful and put a boundary up and say, hey, this is a lot. I don't know if I can like process everything you're telling me. If you don't mind, it sounds like there's a lot you're going through. Would you be open to premarital counseling so we can talk about your trauma and how it might affect our relationship? Do you see how I like totally like feng shui, like I totally like flipped that whole conversation around where I'm in a position where I am firm and I'm setting my boundaries and at the same time acknowledging someone's trauma. So that's trauma dumping, that's one. Second is love bombing. Love bombing is where someone showers you with excessive affection. Excessive affection. Every single thing is a heart. Every single thing is like a meme. Every single thing is like a beautiful message. You know, Habibti, Sabah al-Noor, Sabah al-Fool, I sent you these roses. This is super beautiful, mashallah. Here's like a Giorgio Armani thing. I thought of you when I was outside, mashallah. Oh my God, one of my brothers shared a picture of the Kaaba and I thought about Umrah with you, mashallah. It's that meme of Future where he's on his phone and it's like every stupid thing that happens in real life. He's like, girl, this reminded me of you and like our bond together. Like this is love bombing. Love bombing is a dangerous thing because one, you have to question the sincerity and intentionality behind it. And two, this is not the foundation of a proper relationship. You don't have to bomb someone in order for them to love you. Usually there's a deep insecurity that sits here behind love bombing. Either an insecurity or, more dangerously, grooming is usually behind love bombing. For this. And so be very, very cautious of these two extremes, trauma dumping and love bombing. And I don't want you guys to fall into thinking that this is a deep relationship because this is happening. No, it's as deep as a puddle. That's all it is. It looks like it's deep, but it's actually not. So make sure to steer clear of that. How do you know if you're actually able to like talk about something in a relationship? Well, most importantly, it's about safety and security and making sure that there's a maturity behind your conversation. The example I'll give you is Alaa's DM that Alaa sent me. Alaa was very like straightforward and clear. Alaa was
I
like,
DM'd him.
Alaa DM'd me first, and it was like a very Khadija, moment for Alaa, where she was like, Omar, I saw you give this lecture on domestic violence. I really like, the way you conduct yourself and the way you're talking and speaking. And I talked to other people. You're like well vetted. And then Alaa made it very clear. I'm messaging you with the intention of marriage. Let me know if you're serious about this. You said it from the very get-go that you are serious, you are committed. This is not for goofing around. This is not for like whatever, yada, yada. Let's just like feel the vibe. And I was like, I'm here for marriage. Hashtag, don't waste my time. Like, be serious about this. And like for Alaa and I, like our conversations were heavy. Our conversations were difficult. And I knew that like, okay, she's the one. There's like a maturity here that Alaa has where like I feel safe to open up about my vulnerabilities, my insecurities, difficulties I'm going through in my life. I shared with Alaa the most difficult things that I experienced. Alaa shared with me the things that she experienced that were difficult. And what do you know? This is bonding. I'm not trauma dumping on you. I'm not love bombing you. I'm not pretending or like performing in a relationship. I can just be authentically me. And that's how you know this is a good relationship. This is a good talk that like you're engaging in. Here, take mine.
The question of like how much like trauma you can receive from the other person and how much can you share. Look, the reality is, don't start a relationship if you have trauma that's unhealed yet, and that is a sign, right? And if this person is trauma dumping or sharing, and to be honest with you, quite often we don't know that we're trauma dumping, right? Some of our deep wounds have been so normalized, like, oh, we don't like, that's not a Muslim thing, right? We're not affected by that or that. But the reality is like these deep wounds, if they're still there and they're still impacting us, they're calling out for you. It's like a red, like almost like a red flag, or it's a signal that something inside you needs attention. It's not going to work. The marriage is not going to work if that trauma is still there and it's seeking that person to fix it for you without you being familiar with it and doing the work. So my first thing is, if you do have trauma, or if this other person reveals that there is trauma or unhealed or unprocessed wounds, start therapy for yourself, or model it so that they can start it for theirself. But be on that journey of healing. Marriage is not going to fix it. it certainly will not. If we learned anything from us today is that it pokes at it, right? Like it brings it out to the surface and multiplied because now you're carrying somebody else's trauma, right? And this kind of, I hope, helps answer some of the other questions too. There are quite a few questions about like, how do we know we're sharing too much, or what if we're not telling enough, right? In reality, what we want to do before marriage is we want to get to know ourselves so well that we know what person to bring into this conversation, right? And we want to be, I'm not saying we have to be a perfect person because that's never our goal, right? And we don't have to fully be healed, right? Because the truth is, till the day we die, we're going to continue this healing journey. But we have to know that we're on that healing journey. We have to know it, and we have to be so committed to it, right? And that's the kind of person we want to marry too. We want them to be committed to their journey, right? And if you're pretending like you're okay and you're good, you're lying, 100%, right? When you're able to say, oh, I'm not okay right now, right? You're in a good place. When you're able to say, oh, on these days, I'm okay because I can handle 1, 2, 3, or I've emotionally regulated, or I've managed to keep my nafs in check, and just like really, you're familiar and aware of yourself, you're ready to get into this, into these talks. A couple of people asked and mentioned, alhamdulillah, if we sparked your interest in starting therapy, we have tools and resources that we can share with you guys in terms of like therapists in New York or therapists within your network of insurance, because it's ideal if you don't have to pay so much for it, right? Unfortunately, I'm not able to take more clients at the moment, but if I asked for them to put my contact information up, and if you want to send yours, you can still reach out to me, and I'll try to connect you with other trusted Muslim mental health professionals, and we'll look for someone within your network. You don't have to do it alone, right? As a community, that's why we're doing talks like this. So we know that this is a healing journey that we all have access to, right? And so please do feel free to reach out. She'll put my contact information up. And then if it's not me, inshallah, it will be somebody better than me that you can work with, inshallah. Do we have time for a little bit more?
We have time for a testimony, or do we want to? We got the two biggest questions out of the way. There was another one there about like, what if I don't remember my childhood? That one, honestly, is a symptom. So not remembering your childhood typically means that you probably had a traumatic childhood. And your brain has protected you by dissociating or depersonalizing and creating a suppression over there. This is not the kind of question where it's like, I don't remember my childhood. Oh, well. It's more of like, I don't remember my childhood. Red flag. Something here is wrong. I should remember it, but I don't. My brain is blocking something. What is my brain blocking? Typically, your brain will block trauma. That's typically what will happen here. So if you don't remember your childhood, then the scary thing about this is that in your marriage, your childhood will come out. And unlike a little girl or a little boy who knows where the trauma could potentially come from, for you, you are completely blind to where this trauma will come from. It will come out in ways that you can't imagine. So in many cases, like what Alaa and I often deal with, is on the very first night of the wedding, when you're about to finally engage in sexual intercourse with one another, all of a sudden you're having a severe panic attack towards sexual contact, and you're wondering why you're having such a strong reaction to sexual contact when you've never had a strong reaction towards sexual contact before. Your brain has suppressed that you may have been a victim of sexual assault, but your brain has suppressed and blocked it. And now in marriage, it's all flooding back to the surface for you. And your spouse is completely blindsided, and you're blindsided too. And this becomes a severe trauma that can affect you. So if you don't remember your childhood, the most genuine advice I can give you is what Alaa is telling you to get help. Get help, go to therapy. There's a reason why you don't remember your childhood. What is the why? And it should not be a question that your spouse is answering. That's a question that you should be answering, that you then bring to your spouse and say, this is what happened. And I need you to be with me on, like Allah said, be with me on this journey together as we heal on this. So if you have a blockage or suppression of your childhood, probably important to go to therapy then. Make sure to go to therapy. And sooner rather than later. Don't delay these kind of things. The earlier you seek help for yourself, the more secure and the healthier you are. Same thing for your marriage. The earlier you seek help, when you guys are in DM stage or when you guys are in talking stage, the better it is for the relationship overall. I hope inshallah that helps answer that particular question. My heart goes out to whoever posted that may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give you shifa for what you're experiencing.
I wish we had more time to answer the questions. Alhamdulillah, you have so many, and that's just a sign, alhamdulillah, that you're on that reflection journey, right? I gave you the website, thefyi.org. If you follow us, follow our Instagram. We have a lot of different series that we do, a lot of programming, and inshallah, Mass will also continue to bring this kind of programming. Just give them your feedback. And we'd be more than honored to continue showing up, inshallah. In the meantime, Jazakumullah khair. Thank you so much, everyone.
Yeah, Jazakallah khair, everybody.
Thank you, Brother Omar and Sister Alaa, for the incredible, valuable session today. I ask that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continues to bless your marriage and to reward you for the words and the knowledge that you shared with us today. Ameen. So it wouldn't be Mass Youth Center without a double parked car.
Oh, shoot.
Yes.
Is that us? I hope it's not us. Okay.
Infinity MAJ 5099. Infinity Block MAJ 50. We got them. All right, thank you. All right, just a couple of announcements before we go. If anyone here is interested in anyone and you want to start it the correct way, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can place the most blessings into it, we have certain people that you can go to. For the brothers, feel free to approach Brother Malik. Brother Malik, if you could raise your hand really quickly. Right there. Or our resident Sheikh Muhammad Badawi. For the sisters, if you could approach Sister Asala. Sister Asala, can you raise your hand? Right over there. Okay, perfect. We also have our In Pairs initiative. You can sign up by scanning the QR code in the back. It's at our marketing booth table. Also, I saw a couple of questions about how can we connect with Muslim social services. They said that they had resources. We also have resources right here at Mass Youth Center. We have office hours where our
Oh, I got you.
We have office hours with our social services department with our family and marriage therapist every Saturday at 1 p.m. You can also fill out our social services form for any inquiries on marriage therapist, sheikh counseling, and more. And then we also have a couple of programs. So the one that you're in right now is our YP Halaqa. We also have tomorrow on Fridays, we do Sister Sabiqun at 6 o'clock. We also have our youth joint halaqas at 7:30 p.m. And right after that, they have a brothers late night hangout. We also have a couple of other things going on. We have brothers soccer leagues for the youth and adult. We have football leagues. We also have basketball games. There's one coming up, Mass Madness, December 20th. We also have monthly programs, the Sisters Monthly Brunch. Woo-hoo! It's coming up December 14th. Be there or be square. We have mental health pop-ups as well every Friday, every last Friday of the month. And we also have Serve Sundays. It's ages 14 and plus. If you want to get involved, you can. We also have a volunteer form which you can scan and fill out if you want to get involved with the Mass Youth Center. We're always looking for more volunteers. Thank you guys so much for coming out tonight and have a great one. Jazakallah khair.